Hi, this is Chimes Media and I'm James Williams. Well, I'm making this extra video from what I was intending because of basically the comments made by Nigel Farage, who used to be UKIP leader, on BBC Radio 4, criticising the current leader of UKIP, Gerard Batten, who's taken on Tommy Robinson as an advisor. Well, can I just say that Nigel Farage, I think, needs to read a bit more about Islam because he clearly doesn't understand the subject. And Nigel Farage as well, though he's very entertaining with his rhetoric and criticising the EU and EU leaders, he is very low on knowledge-based stuff. Like I said, he doesn't understand Islam. And when he was leader, he left UKIP on the verge of bankruptcy. He never dealt with major issues. And if I remember rightly, when he went to America to support Donald Trump for the presidency, he never actually said, vote for Donald Trump. He just said, I wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton. So he does tend to have this politician's way of avoiding questions. Right, so basically, what we need to do, because the fear of having Tommy Robinson, I think actually the establishment are actually fearful of Tommy Robinson. They're not fearful of Nigel Farage, because Nigel Farage is an old Thatcherite. He's a naughty boy who hasn't conformed with the consensus, but he's not a real threat. Tommy Robinson to the establishment is a real threat because he engages with people. He talks normal people's language. He appeals to the real problems by bringing up the issue of gang rape and the threat of Islam, which are realistic threats, and people see it around them. Most of these politicians, including Farage, do not live in areas where they've got mosques springing up all over the place, where Sharia law is being brought in under the carpet, and they don't understand this. Tommy Robinson addresses these issues. He brings it up, and they are afraid of him because the bunch of establishment people are cowards. They will not bite the bullet and deal with a problem. Across the UK and elsewhere in Europe, there are mosques springing up at an unprecedented rate. You don't see Hindu temples or Sikh temples growing all over the place. You see mosques growing all over the place. You see churches closing down. Not that I'm a strong Christian or anything like that, but it's a reflection of how things are. Right, so on top of that, do we really want... We have to address this issue. And it's not against individual Muslims. Muslims themselves are very often under the cosh. They have to obey. That's the nature of Islam. So criticising Islam is not the same as criticising Muslims. When you criticise Islam, you're criticising an ideology, a theocratic ideology. It has no tolerance for non-Christians, kafirs, for non-Muslims, I should say, kafirs. It has no tolerance for them, right? The only people who have got any kind of tolerance for is what they call people of the book, which includes Jews and Christians, who have to pay a dhimmi tax in dhimmitude, I think it's called, which is a form of payment to allow them to exist. And there's all sorts of restrictions on that. But if you're not in those two groups, you get exterminated. If you're a Sikh, if you're an atheist, you get exterminated. They eliminate you in the end. You'll get pushed out. You're not wanted. And so we have to really resist Islam as a concept. We really have to, and nothing's been done. They're kowtowing to it. And Tommy Robinson is a key figure. He's an attractive figure, and he's telling the truth about things. And they don't like the truth being told. You know, it's unacceptable what's gone on. He has been persecuted because of their fear of him. Our politicians, what do they represent? What do the Conservatives stand for? What ideology do they stand for? What principles have they got? They just exist to get into power and to fill their pockets, their mates, with money. The Labour Party has gone into identitarian politics. It's abandoned the working class. It doesn't give a monkeys about people. It's got poisonous ideology, which is socialist, communist, postmodernist hate stuff, which then they tell everybody else that they're the ones that are hateful. And the Liberal Democrats, well, they're just a mealy-mouthed bunch of, dissatisfied socialists, aren't they? That's all they are. So we've got a big hole in the UK political scene. UKIP are there. UKIP are there to fill this void, but they're not doing it because they're pussyfooting around trying not to appear too far right. Well, what is far right? That has to be redefined. That has to be challenged, because for too long the establishment have used the fear of the right to keep proper groups that actually will represent people, to keep them down. The right wing are basically, the right wing are minimal state groups. They're nothing to do with fascism. Fascism is from the left. If you look at the history books, Mussolini was a left-winger. Hitler was a left-winger. They were promoting Marxist ideology all the way through. They were big state. They were using the state for their own gains, their own benefits. Right wing is about small state. If it goes to the extreme, it goes towards anarchy, where there's no state. Well, we don't want to get to that stage, but it's not as bad as having some totalitarian regime putting jackboots down on us. So we have to redefine, we have to defend what right wing and left wing mean and stick to the proper definitions, what they mean. UKIP are needed. They're needed to fill the void. There's all sorts of fractional groups going on. There's Britain First and a few other groups on the right, are so-called, if you can call them on the right, and they need to come together. UKIP is the largest one, and Gerard Batten, he was the one who rescued UKIP from oblivion. He was the one who sorted out the finances, turned £100,000 debt into £300,000 of assets. And he did that. Nigel Farage has never had any ideological understanding. All he was against the EU without any plan or policy. Right, so that's all I've got to say. I'm just going to end there, because I shall rant on all day on this one. Thanks for watching. Take care till next time.